Oh, ladies first.
Okay. My name's Holly Rothschild, and Luke and I have a company called String Theory with our partner Joseph Harvey, and the three of us used to work together in Chicago, and we eventually came out here a few years ago to have this performance ensemble together, and we combine sonic sculptures, which Luke designs and builds based in long string instruments, and movement and music.
Holly and I founded the company with Joseph Harvey, who's our business partner as well, and
Cellist.
he plays cello. I mostly play bass and drums and guitar, and I sing as well, but I think of myself as a support musician to support the harp. Holly's the harpist. And you also have dancers you work with, don't you?
Mm-hmm. I think the idea how we came together was that we wanted to work together, and I come from a dance choreography background, and Luke is a musician and a visual artist, and Joey is a musician, and we wanted to combine those elements to sort of create a performance hybrid that all of the art forms could come together in one performance experience. And that's what we've been doing over the past several years. And every time we go into a space, it's a site-specific installation, so every situation is different for us in terms of how the instruments become configured in the space and how the performers will interact with how the instruments are set up, because we always do a site-specific installation. So that's one of the aspects of the work that's a lot of fun. Sometimes it can be a little frustrating because you just don't know what's going to happen, but I think it really adds a lot, and I think it's a really cool thing that it's always specific to whatever environment we're setting up in.
So with the installation, we have our resonator, which is the part that lives on the stage or where we're performing, and then that lives there, and then the strings go from the resonator out and attach to existing structure. Usually it's architectural. On occasion, it's the trunk of a tree. But usually it's like buildings, either interior or exterior. So in that sense, it's always a different performance because we have to completely adapt ourselves to that environment. I was studying in Chicago, and I learned about a woman named Ellen Fullman, who is from Texas. She lives in Seattle now, and as far as my research showed,
I think she's in Berkeley now.
Is she in Berkeley?
Yeah. I think so.
And the Germans.
Yeah, Panhausen and Goodert were early sound sculptures that they would go into a space and develop sound sculptures basically to fit into a space, and they started to combine it with traditional instruments as well. But Ellen Fullman's probably been the biggest influence in the United States, although she doesn't make resonators. She has a tendency to do, I think she does freestanding instruments. So one of the things that we've really done is to take Luke's really developed and built resonators to really make the strings sound really good. And then we've been, like right now, we're combining the sound of them with tabla, electronics, saxophone, bass, percussion, violin, cello. So there's we're really filling out the sound a lot and experimenting with the strings in that way too. So, I was going to tell you about the one time we had. We were setting up at this theater in Hollywood. We were doing an evening length show there, and we had two dancers working with us, so there were three of us all together, and we decided to set the long strings up on a horizontal plane because they can be configured in so many different ways. So in order to rehearse, we had a whole piece based around choreographing for that particular installation, and for us to rehearse, we ended up putting two trucks in the alley and connecting strings to fenders of both trucks and then pulling the strings tight and then rehearsing and choreographing the piece that way. And then another alley we set up on some metal gates, but we got kicked out of that alley. So it's kind of, you make do. We kind of do like guerrilla style rehearsing, like setting up a string installation and trying to get the work done. So I love the idea of playing live for yoga classes. Like, that was really fun to play live and having people really active and involved, and having Gurmukh teach the class while playing for it. It was
the
a
other
lot
thing
of fun.
that was I found interesting that was how, I mean, obviously music affects things greatly. I mean, when you watch a film or when you're watching TV or whatever, and you hear the music comes in, and that's like the big unseen actor. That's basically dictating your mood in many ways. You know, it's invisible, but it's very, very powerful. And it was just interesting to listen to Gurmukh teaching her class, and then we playing our pieces that we always play, but never had we done it in that context. For me to see what she's teaching and what she's saying, and then how what we're playing underneath that affects it. It was really cool for me. Like, it was an exploration of something that we really hadn't done before. You know, I really want to see us break through the barrier into broadcast. I really enjoy performing live, and we write a lot of music. We write a lot of different styles, and we write with different members of the group have different strong points to offer. And I really feel like what we have is a very unique sound that will translate beautifully to film and television and different forms of broadcast. But we're an independent group, and it's harder to get a foothold, you know, and I think once one does, then one has a foothold. What would you say?
I think that for us, because since we've been working together, our music has been so all over the place. Like, we haven't really been able to define what we are musically, and it confuses people so much. They're like, well, what kind of music is it? Where are you? But in fact, we've found that because of the variety of people involved in string theory, that we can pretty much make any kind of music. So, and that's a really fun thing for us to explore and discover. And you know, like, every time we do a performance, it's site specific, and also we kind of tailor the music to fit that environment as well. So I think that's, in a way, one of the things. I think it's a really great thing about us, but I think in a way also it's sort of slowed us down a little bit too, because people want to compartmentalize you, and they want to understand where you fit in, and if you don't have that consistency, it's confusing. So, but so be it, though.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think in a lot of ways, it's a challenge to market the group, because no one has a point of reference for what we're bringing to our performance, i.e. the long strings and all that. Also, stylistically, it's so broad that it's so easy. People say, what do you do? I play rock music. Okay, I can understand that, you know. But we do play rock music, and we love to, but we also play classical and ambient and groove and lounge. So
also stylistically too, when there's time for the dance to be really present in the performance, like, the biggest influence is a postmodern style of movement, and people are like, what's that? So you're like, well, how do you describe it? So it's sort of this, so yeah.